Welcome everyone to today's webinar. My name is Timothy Cross. I'm one of the hosts here for today's webinar, and I am joined today by David Cho. David, what's up, man?
Not much, my man. I am one of the other hosts today.
He is the other guy.
We make up the dynamic duo of I guess hosts that keep trying to get out of it and keep getting sucked back in. So no matter how hard we try to disqualify ourselves, somehow
we get pulled back into it. We're excited.
Yeah.
I'm the media director for Sharefaith. David is the kids director for Sharefaith. We've known each other for a long time, and we are excited to put these webinars on. We know that VBS is a hot topic for so many of you, especially with everything that's going on in the world. And that's what today's designed for. But before I get to that, I want to talk about a couple things for you. Some quick notes is first and foremost, all throughout today's webinar, if you have any questions, make sure to use the Q&A feature. We have a team of panelists available answering questions throughout today's webinar. In addition to that, if your question doesn't get answered, or more likely you have more questions after today's webinar, which is what happens, we have an email for you. So email us at careteam@ministrybrands.com. And then in addition, David, there's a lot. I know I'm trying to go through it fast,
but you're doing good. So far, so good.
Good so far. The last little bit is all of the resources. And there is a lot. We did 2 weeks of webinars leading up to Easter. All of that was not just designed to get your church ready for Easter, but it was designed to get your church ready for this online ministry and how to do that. So for that and many more resources, check out online.ministrybrands.com. So with all of that being said, all of that out of the way, I'm excited. David, what is happening today?
All right, so today is all about VBS Online. So yesterday we covered some big picture, some practical stuff, some of the behind the scenes forms and registrations and communication. Today is gonna be all about building an online VBS. And so that's gonna involve two things, and we'll get into it later. One will be a list of different resources that you'll use, and then we'll combine it with a list of different video elements that you'll film. What I'm going to ask the moderators to do is to drop that checklist in the discussion or in the chat section right now. And when we get started, I'd love for you to have that PDF open so that as we go through building this virtual VBS, you have something to reference, and hopefully as much as possible, it's making sense and we have a clear direction of where we're starting and where we're going.
I love it. Everything that we do here at Ministry Brands, we are passionate about seeing the church succeed through technology. We have so many brands that have come together, and our big thing is integrating together as a big family of all of this technology to see the church succeed. And when we do these webinars, and David will attest to this, not attest to this, that's the wrong word. David will agree to this.
Don't put words in my mouth. Hang on, you say what you got to say, and then I'll tell you if I attest or agree.
I'll say it. We want to give you practical steps to take that you can get a VBS online ready to go. We don't want to just always talk big picture. We want to jump into the details, and that's kind of what half of this webinar is today. But the first half,
yes,
we have a special guest with us, don't we, David?
We do. We want to bring on right now, very excited about this, Yancy from Yancy Ministries. And I think someone that's an inspiration to both you and I, Tim, in the area of kids worship. And
I can't sing, and she does it so well.
Yeah. So Yancy, why don't, if people, first welcome, and if people aren't familiar with you, I don't know who they are, but if they're not, maybe let us know a little bit about yourself and your ministry and yeah, what you're doing.
Yeah, so I get to make music for kids and create worship resources for churches to use. And so that looks like me writing songs and going in the studio and recording those, and then making various videos and other tools and stuff that you guys can use to put those songs into action in your services in your churches. And you know, before this current season we were in, I got to travel and do family concerts and lead worship at special kids events and stuff too. But, obviously some of that's not happening at the moment.
Just
but
a little bit.
I know, just partnering with churches to help you have the resources you need to be able to succeed and do kids worship really well. So that's my heart and my passion, is teaching kids to worship.
Yeah, and we're excited to have you today because worship is such a huge part of VBS, a kids ministry, period. Like, obviously, worship is a huge part, but especially with VBS. And you have so much experience with that. And I know David has some really good questions for you. So we'll kind of jump into that. But I just want to, again, say thank you, Yancy, for joining us here today.
You bet. Thanks for having me on today, guys.
Yeah, maybe let's just start there in the area of worship. Typically with a VBS program, whether it's a 3 or a 5 day program, worship is always a central element of that. And when we were talking earlier, you mentioned how sometimes churches maybe don't have a full appreciation of what worship is, or how to engage and participate in it. And so I'd love just hearing, from your perspective, what is worship? Why is it so important? How do we encourage kids to engage?
Yeah, I think, most churches and ministries, they know that they should do worship. And so they have slots on their planning sheets and, time, whether that's VBS or normal service, where they know, like, okay, well, we need to do these songs. And I think a lot of times children's ministers and directors are just kind of looking at it as filling in slots on a planning sheet, and just more like, I need to plug this in right here, rather than thinking about it from the fact that worship is not just a time filler. It's not just something that we do to make the whole room, bounce up and down and spin around to the side 3 times. But worship is a discipline, and worship is truly an act of worship. It's a way that we communicate with God. And so realizing that, just like some of these other very important things that we try to teach kids about, whether that's loving one another, whether that's giving to missions, like all the heavy hitter things that we're going to focus on in ministry, realize that you teaching kids how to worship is really providing them a lifeline that they will have truly for the rest of their life, to be able to encounter God, run to him with whatever's going on, and just to celebrate his faithfulness in their life. And so I am a big fan of music, first and foremost, because music is a great way for us to learn. It's a great way for us to remember. I'm sure we can all think of specific songs that take us back to a specific time and place in our life. And that excites me when I realize that in our churches and our ministry and our programming, what we do, some of those songs you sing are going to help kids remember a certain leader that cared about them, and invested in them and knew stuff about their life, and maybe, showed up to a sporting event or whatnot. Like, to think about these songs triggering God's word, the things that we want them to learn, but also those relationships and just the people that came and did life with them, is really, really cool. I'm a big fan of David in the Bible, and I believe that David was given that title, man after God's own heart, because he learned how to worship, period. There was no and, if, but, why, how about it. David learned how to worship. And what I am striving to do, and the music that I create and just the resources that I provide churches with, is to help you teach kids how to be like David and be someone that on the good days, on the bad days, when it's hard, when it's easy, they declare with their mouth all the things that we know are true and are living our life for, by the songs that they sing. And so I just think that it's such an important thing that oftentimes gets overlooked, but there is a lot of meaning and a lot of purpose behind it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like, good answer.
Are we
Good answer.
End the webinar after that? Like, that was like amazing.
So I guess a follow-up on that, where I'd be curious, is I would go, okay, yeah, so that makes sense. Like, if we have Yancy there with us in our auditorium and she's singing, but now we're in this whole era of church online. And so do you think it still can work? Worship can still work in an online environment? And if so, like, how, or what advice or tips would you have?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a completely different dynamic. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's important because, again, that would be like saying, oh, prayer is no longer important. Like we would never say that. So it still is important. I think it's obviously different. I think even most likely their engagement level looks a lot different. Honestly, imagining them in their rooms, in their living rooms doing this versus in a sanctuary all gathered together with a big group, I'm not going to lie. I know that that's going to look different for a lot of people. But I think one of the questions as a worship leader that I often will ask, and I challenge leaders to do this too, is just think about, what are you inviting them towards? And so again, it goes back to having a plan and a purpose for what you're doing. And so whether you're doing a song here or a couple songs back to back, I think setting it up and introducing it and just reminding people of, here's the why for this moment right now. Here's an action step, a way that I can challenge you right now to maybe participate and get involved. Maybe you stand up and stop sitting on your couch as we sing this. Maybe you try to think about that thing that in the past week or the past month, you can really just stands out to you about how God has, blessed your family or done something that was a highlight, and just focusing on that as we sing these songs and use these words to just draw our hearts closer to the Lord. So I think it's still just setting it up. If you just do a song with no explanation, you're nothing more than a radio DJ, right?
Yeah, for
They're
sure.
going to listen to it. You've got to invite them into the process. And as a worship leader, I often, I'll tell leaders this, like, it's a lot like being an aerobics instructor or a personal trainer or someone like that. Because those people coach you and encourage you to take action and to do the form of exercise that in most cases, if you're left to yourself, at the gym, you're going to find ways to cut short and maybe not push quite as hard and maybe not work quite as hard and follow through. But when you're in that group class setting, or you're paying money for a personal trainer to be standing there next to you while you do it, you tend to put a whole lot more skin in the game and push to work out harder. And I just feel like that's a little mental picture for your job as a worship leader. It's to encourage and say, hey, sing it a little bit louder. Hey, we're going to do it 3 more times. Don't forget, clap your hands, like shout this out. Let these words be a prayer in your heart. Like it's coaching people through to help them understand how to continue participating. Because oftentimes too, it's not that they're intentionally stopping to participate in the context of a worship song. It's just that a fly flew into their vision or their stomach growled and they started thinking about lunch. Or, they've got a fun plan, to do later this afternoon or this evening. And so they start thinking about that. They just get distracted. And that's why if you only just like roll the song, the rabbit trail of thoughts is going to happen. But if you keep encouraging them, if you keep coaching them through it, you can keep their attention focused on the purpose and the reason for this time. And so through that, you'll see a lot more participation, a lot more success in how you're leading people in worship.
Yancy, I feel like you just called me out. I'm just going to say it. Like, I'm the guy that gets distracted. Oh, look at that. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I love that coaching that you described, leading people through worship, taking them along, because I'll be honest, I'm not a professional worshiper, and I still need help. And I appreciate that there's worship leaders out there that do exactly what you're talking about. And I love that point. What a powerful point that is, and a good reminder. Even virtually, I think you can do exactly that, taking people along.
Yeah.
And I think that's maybe a good point would be to not look at the virtual worship experiences. Let's just play this video and that'll be that segment. I think that's what you were getting at a little bit earlier. Like it's more than just a segment to fill in your VBS.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one, agreeing with Tim, I don't like any fitness analogies brought up during this quarantine time. I felt like that was beyond the pale. But I did wanna ask you. So you have a couple of young kids, right? And so I'm curious, like as a mom, when you look at the church and kind of like how they're leading and what they're doing as a parent, what are you wanting the church right now to be doing for your young kids, whether it's
Yeah.
just in general or during a VBS, and maybe some of your perspectives on that?
Yeah. Yeah. So I have a 9-year-old and a 3-year-old. He'll turn 4 this summer. And so I will say what I think has been a huge win in this season of ministry is just parents getting to see and get a taste a little bit more so of what you guys are doing in your ministries, seeing on video some of the teachers that, my son has talked about before. I think that, so often children's ministry will complain that they're thought of as babysitting. And so right now people are getting to see firsthand just some of what the hard work that you're putting in by providing these videos and whatnot. So I do think that is a huge win for the KidMin world. I can say as a parent, I'm personally like, we already homeschooled before this.
Right.
And I work from home doing all the things that I do. So, yes, we don't get to go physically to church and, hang out with people to the degree we did, but like so much of our life is just still the same and it's been happening. And so we have not been twiddling our thumbs and haven't been bored. I haven't done nearly as many home organization projects as I wish had happened over these couple of months. And so I don't necessarily need you to just fill my time with busy work. That's not what I'm looking for. But what I'm going to stop and do when I see that social media post or the email come through is anything that just helps me be able to create a memory with my kids and do something that's a lot more meaningful. And so I think some of those things have been just awesome, and maybe a good thing for you to just kind of put through a filter. It's just like, am I adding, it's kind of like the difference of junk mail versus, happy mail, like birthday cards in our mail, it's kind of that. And so just are you doing something that just fills time? Or are you doing something that helps a parent actually,
I love that. Create a
win with
memory
their kid for 10 minutes a day or half an hour or whatever. And so that's some feedback for me as a parent. I know my son, he's loved his Zoom calls. They do a weekly one with his small group age from church. That's been a huge win for us. They just did a little delivery box of some fun things that just had an encouraging note in it, that challenged them with something spiritual and also just cheered him on, as a person, and, just watching him read that letter, smiling ear to ear.
I love that idea that you talked
win.
about. I love that idea you talked about creating memories. I'd love to jump in maybe a little bit further with that. This idea, and I know we're coming to the close here because you have another engagement to get to, but that making the memories. VBS for me growing up was a huge, like, I have so many phenomenal memories of VBS as a kid. Do you have any ideas on ways that we could do that virtually, creating memories that have that spiritual side to it that does exactly what you're talking about? As a parent, you're saying, you will stop what you're doing and have your kid engage in something if it's designed to be fun, memorable, but that has that spiritual component. Do you have any ideas along those lines? Or
Well, I mean, I think I would assume in a lot of what people are going to be doing with the online VBS is there's going to be the components that you're presenting and you're doing and you're, performing, for lack of a better word, for them. And I think just, figuring out then, just like you would give a small group leader some responsibility and some questions and stuff to interact with their kids. I think that stuff for parents are just those conversation starters and something, to bring back up 5 hours from now, like when you have dinner tonight, like, let's kind of circle back to this topic, and here's how you can start that conversation and what it might look like. I think that stuff is great. I think I actually wrote a little article about this yesterday. I posted it on my website, but one of the things that I just kind of, made up as I was writing it, but I was like, what if you kind of like, plan a family fun night virtually, whether that's a meal plan, maybe you send out a recipe of something, maybe even partner with a local restaurant and business and get a coupon or some special deal that your church can get access to, do takeout or something like that. And then, plan out just an activity that they're supposed to do, or a missions project, or something that they could make or create or buy and deliver to another family or another person in your community, or planning out a movie, and then even like give them a discussion guide pertaining to that movie. I have a friend named Amanda White. She's got a blog, ohmanda.com, and oftentimes when a new movie comes out, she'll write all these kind of discussion points of how you can talk to your kid about even what was a secular movie and yet bring some spiritual application to that. So even just planning out a few things like that, where
I like that.
You're helping a parent still make Friday night be fun, but you're just thinking it through a little bit for them. So it's more than, okay, what are we having for dinner and what do we flip the channels and find on TV, but just helping define some meaning.
Yeah, I like that. It's like, so in the context of virtual VBS, you could take maybe, these illustrations that you would do normally during a VBS. You can give the parents the tools that they need to do that experiment at home. I know I've seen my mom, who is also a kids pastor. She took some type of chemicals or soap, I don't know, but it's like, it's black looking. She poured clear stuff into it and it was gone. And it like, as a kid, I saw that. I was like, wow, that's amazing. Yeah. And I think like, I love that. It's like creating memorable moments. I know with VBS, there's always these opportunities of whether it's activities that you could equip the parents to do at home with their kids, or even like those types of experiments that have these illustrations that really illustrate a solid point about Christ, and give the parents those tools that they need. And honestly, like,
or
that's
even like
more
a scavenger hunt or something, where at some of these locations you would be sending them to, you work out a way to have prizes there, or you are there to meet some of these leaders and exchange a little packet that has a treat and a surprise. Like, I think there's some creative ways to still have touch points with your ministry tied to.
So it's almost like
hang on.
VBS an all-day event is what you're saying. Let's make VBS an all-day event with the parents. I like it.
I do want to jump in here, Ed, because we promised to get you out on time, Yancy. But I do want to give you the opportunity, if people want to just dive a little bit deeper into what you're doing and maybe figure out some of the resources that you have available, or ways that they can partner with what you're doing. I just wanted to give you a few minutes here to share what you're up to right now, and any blogs or websites or URLs that you direct people to.
Yeah, so yancyministries.com is kind of the home base for all of my stuff. On social media, you can follow me with the username of Yancy, not Nancy. So that's my name on Twitter and Instagram, and my Facebook page is that too. So you can find me those places. I've got a curriculum that I've done to teach kids about worship, and that's called Heartbeat. And so you can check that out at yancyministries.com/heartbeat. And then I do a couple different kinds of music. So I do a series called Kidmin Worship that's more focused on preteen and elementary ages. So focusing on the oldest kids in your ministry. And then I do a series of music for younger kids called Little Praise Party. and that's a lot of fun. So many churches use that and love it. And I'm in the process of releasing a lot of new music for Little Praise Party. So I've got a bundle coming out for churches here in the next couple of weeks called Ready, Set, Go. And then in the fall, there'll be a second bundle of songs coming out called Out of This World. So really pumped for all of that. So follow me on social media and get in touch, and
awesome.
Love to serve your church.
We had one last question for you, Yancy, and we will let you get out of here. We got a lot of people asking about the Amanda resource. What's the link that they can go to check that out?
ohamanda.com. So ohamanda.com.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. No, that was good. That was good.
Yeah, and she's a mommy blogger, but she's the daughter of a children's pastor, and her husband were children's pastors at a certain point. And so she's also who wrote Truth in the Tinsel. You might be familiar with that. Christmas, Advent research. Cool. That was the word I was looking for. Not the season for that. Wasn't on the tip of my tongue. She wrote that Truth in the Tinsel too, if you kind of thought that before. So.
Well, thank you so much, Yancy, for joining us. It was an absolute pleasure. I'm sorry about David, okay?
Whatever.
I'm sorry about David.
And I extend the same towards Tim.
I'm so excited for you KidMin leaders to win and make this summer be awesome and memorable in a totally new, unique way. So,
amen.
It's awesome. Rise to the challenge. You can do it.
Thank you, Yancy. With that, we'll let you get to your other engagement. Right. Thank you so much.
Thank y'all. Bye.
All right.
All right. Fantastic, David.
Yeah,
there was so many good. We're gonna, just so everyone's I've seen this a lot in the chat today. We will be sending out replays for yesterday and today. So be looking out for the emails here from Ministry Brands. We'll get that to you, because there's so many good points there from Yancy. I don't even know, you need to rewatch it a few times just to get all the bits. It was super, super good.
There is, as we jump into this, I think there's one question that's a great segue into this VBS that we're going to talk about building. And it came from Sarah, and she goes, my families are so over Zoom, which makes this hard to connect with them. And I agree. One of the things I think that that Yancy hit on is there is a certain level of online burnout that parents are hitting right now, where they're going, hey, I'm all for VBS. I just don't want you to give me a bunch of things to do, a bunch of things to assemble. I'd rather not be on the hook for setting up a Zoom meeting and facilitating that all the time. And so what we're going to talk about today is how to build a pre-recorded VBS video service. And as we go through this outline and this template, it's basically hey, this is a simple, straightforward plan. You can build it. You can either share it on Facebook Live or your YouTube account, and it is a ready to go VBS program that's going to look beautiful. And then from that foundation, you can expand upon it. If you want to come up with the activities for families that are more interactive and engaging, great. If you do want to do Zoom meetings as follow-up for small group discussions, we can do that as well. But the goal here is something simple and straightforward that you and your team can build, and that'll be ready to go without a bunch of extra work for parents.
I love it. We're gonna jump right into that, and I would love to throw on, we'll probably jump into this later, David. I'm probably getting ahead of you here, but I know usually with VBS, there's lots of extra things that kind of go on with it, whether it be illustrations or crafts are usually a big one. Generally, kids, you'll do a craft a day, and they'll take this thing home, and it all kind of themes and bundles together. So as we're going through this how to put a virtual experience together for VBS, as a church, we need to be kind of thinking outside of the box. Maybe you don't do as big of a craft. Maybe you do a craft around elements that most likely that they have in the home, and you kind of do it that way. I think there's an opportunity, and we touched on it a little bit earlier, but I think there's an opportunity for us to get a little creative and out of the box thinking, and create some engagement and memorable moments with families where maybe it wouldn't have happened before in the traditional VBS. Now we're going to equip the parents to kind of be the leader for their kids along this experience. And if they feel prepared, it's like not only have you created a memorable moment for the child, but you've created a memorable moment for the parent and their child. And I mean, that's something that parents will never forget. So anyways, I know I'm
Yeah.
getting a little ahead, David. I'm sorry.
Let's go.
I'm excited.
Let's
excited.
go.
All right.
Let's roll, man. Okay.
Lead the way, my friend.
So let's go ahead and throw up the first slide. And I want to walk through how this is going to work. If you have downloaded the VBS guide that was shared, in it, you're going to see two icons throughout it. One is going to be this camera icon, and this is going to be a short video that you and your team will prepare. And one thing I want to stress is the most important thing that your kids ministry has right now, the thing that your kids need the most is you and your volunteer team. The relationships that you've built with your kids, the connection that you have is it's so much more important than any resource you could show or send home. And so the mindset with this VBS is, how do you and your team stay at the forefront of this VBS? How do you shoot these videos in such a way where the faces your kids need to see, the voices they need to hear are right there up front all the time? And so throughout the outline, you're going to see that symbol of a video icon, a short video that your team will need to shoot. And then you'll see this green circle icon of the Sharefaith Kids logo. And that's going to let you know a resource that you're going to combine together with the videos that you shoot. And so as you go along, it'll be like, hey, shoot this video of you or someone in your team welcoming kids. Now we have a welcome slide, or we have a slide that gives the title graphic of your VBS. And so we'll kind of go through this, talk it through, and see how it's put together. So let's jump to the next slide, Tim.
You're doing great, David, by the way.
Okay, and if I stop making sense, or if there's a question that comes up that I should pay attention to, let me know. I
will. I'll cut you right off. Don't you worry about that. I got you. Okay, lead the way, my friend.
So anyway, this is a bit of a visual of what that looks like. So when you download the PDF, it'll be broken down with these blue headline titles, and it breaks the VBS into sections. What we're looking at is just one day of the VBS, and it gives you a template. I do want to let you know that we will be giving you a free day of our VBS Courageous Faith so that you can actually download that zip bundle and check out all of the resources that go along with these green icons that you'll see. And I guess that leads us to the next slide, Tim, and we can take a look at that.
You set yourself up super well with that one. It's like you designed the slideshow.
I do what I can. So anyway, this is the title graphic for day one of our VBS. And inside of it, the free zip bundle, you're going to get 3 videos, a slideshow, 7 activity pages, curriculum, a comic book, family devotional, and more. And so if you really practically want to test if this is going to work for you and your ministry, and you want to try building this out, go ahead and download the free zip bundle. The moderators will share it. And then it'll be super clear. Okay, here's the resource in this bundle. Here's what I've got to do on the overview PDF that I have. Let's put this thing together, which will lead us to how you're actually going to do it. So again, this is going to be a pre-recorded video VBS, which means that you are going to need to edit certain elements together. If you want to jump to the next slideshow here, Tim, or the next slideshow, the next slide.
No, I knew what you meant.
Are you with
Don't
me?
worry.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm with you.
There's a lot of different ways that you can do this. Right now, my church is putting together our online kids service in iMovie, and it works really great. You just find someone who has that aptitude and is willing to compile those elements together. But there's lots of software that you could use to edit video. It could be Camtasia, it could be Adobe Premiere. We've got a link here to fxhome.com, and they are a free video editing software that you can use. Another thing that I want to highlight, though, if you are completely new to the video editing kind of experience, when we did our Easter online service, Tim put together a great how-to video, how to edit videos for beginners. And he talks about the principles of video editing and just the universal things that are always there, from sound to visual elements to your timeline, how to approach that. And he walked through kind of a similar process of a step-by-step shot list and resource list, and shows how to assemble those things together. And so I would strongly recommend, if you've never done it before, but you want someone, you know, with a friendly face and voice to walk you through it, check out that video that he's put together.
By the way, David,
yeah.
By the way, thank you for the perfect freeze frame. I don't know why you grabbed that specific one.
It doesn't look good.
No,
it looks better
David?
than the freeze frame of my face. I had a terrible one of me, so I was like, nope, we're not gonna do that.
Payback. Yeah, David's 100% right. So in that video, we put that together around the topic of Easter online. But when I was putting it together, I was keeping that perspective of this is just how you put a service together, period. And that this could go for Easter, VBS, or regular weekend experience for your kids ministry. And to David's point, I just go step by step and kind of show you how you can take all of these elements together, all of these pre-recorded videos from your team, and put them into a longer form video where it all kind of blends in together. And there you have one service video. So yeah, it's definitely a good thing. And that's the joy with video editing, is once you understand the principles and kind of how it should work, most of the video editing software is the same. So
yeah, and I will say this too, right before we get into the actual, you know, here are the different elements, learning how to edit video, if you are in a position of leadership in your kids ministry, I think it's an important skill set to have even when church goes back to normal, right? Because you will have live events, right, going forward, like VBS, or it could be some sort of, you know, trunk or treat, or whatever your church may be doing. And the ability to edit video and to make promotional things or resources to parents, video is such an important tool right now. And so I kind of look at this as an opportunity for a lot of kids ministries to grow in that area and go, if you've been avoiding learning how to edit video or getting into that, now is a perfect time to pick up some of those skills. They're essential right now as we're doing VBS online and church online, but long-term, there are going to be some things in your toolbox that you're really glad that you got over that learning curve and learned how to do. So I can't strongly recommend Tim's video enough. It really does a great job of breaking that down.
All right, David, you ready to take us on this journey of putting this VBS day together? Let's do this thing.
I love you, Tim. You're like the hype man. You get me excited more than I was before.
Listen. After that conversation with Yancy, I'm pumped for VBS.
You're
this
ready.
Year.
All right, so let's go. Let's do this. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to see on your template is the VBS countdown, and so there's a resource in your bundle. It'll be a countdown timer. It takes our VBS Courageous Faith that we're sharing with you. It takes the story of Daniel, breaks it into 5 days, and just follows his story, his journey through there, starting with the captivity and ending up in the lion's den, and a lot of great stopping points in between. And so we've taken imagery from all of those lessons, put it together in one 5-minute countdown timer. And the countdown timer is a really important part of any online service, whether that's a VBS or just a regular kids service. You're going to want to start that 5 minutes before whatever your start date or start time is, and give parents and kids a chance to start entering in, just like we do on this webinar. You want the people to have a little bit of like transition time to get in there, to say hello. And that, on that point, is one tip that I would have is, as your countdown timer is running, you want you and your leadership team to be joining in the chat section, whether that's on YouTube or Facebook Live or on your website, and just let people know, hey, it's teacher so-and-so, I'm here. I want to say welcome to all you kids and parents. Ask the questions, you know, like where are you watching, what room in your house, anything that's interactive to just get that comment section going. It's a crucial part of it, right? VBS, what we love about it is the interaction and the experience. And video, you can't just show a video and replicate that. So part of how you get that same thing going is through the interaction of the comment section. And that countdown timer is a great way to let parents know, hey, there's real people here. We're ready to talk. We're ready to engage. And I would say on that, maybe before your VBS announcement goes out, let parents know those sets of expectations. We're going to start 5 minutes before with a countdown timer. this is what we would love you and your kids to do as you join in our VBS. Say hi, say where you're watching from. Let them know if they have any questions along the way, they can ask them and you'll answer. Things like that. Anything that you wanted to add in there, Tim?
No, let's go.
Okay, let's roll.
That was great. You covered it all, my friend.
Okay.
It's good. I will say this. He made a great point about being engaged in the chat. And that isn't just for that beginning segment of the service. When you have a pre-recorded video together and it's playing, it's an amazing time to just do that throughout the whole experience, before, after. I mean, you see it a little bit with these webinars, right? We have a team of people here. We're engaging with Q&As. We're talking as hosts. Yes, we're doing this live, so there is that little bit of a feature, which is pretty cool when you do a live service. But if we were to do a premiere on Facebook or YouTube, you can do it the same way. It's live playing, and you can talk to the chat in that way. So it's just good. What you shared was really on point for the whole thing.
For example, Audra asked what was the name of the free video editing service. So it's good. Right now she feels acknowledged and heard. And then Becky shared it in the chat section.
And I dropped the slide up just now. Look at that, David.
So it's that kind of interaction that makes things just feel real and fun, right? The worst thing would be you just ask your kids to watch a video and there's nothing there. There's no interaction. Okay. So we have the countdown timer. Then we get into kind of the announcement part of the VBS. And this is where I really think it is your team's time to shine. My church, I've been in all sorts of different kids ministries. I've led a kids ministry at a mega church where we had hundreds of kids every weekend. Right now, I'm in a smaller church and I'm part of a ministry where on a typical weekend, maybe we have 10 or 15 kids in the class that I teach. But the most important thing, as I've mentioned, in any of those classrooms is always the teachers and the connections that they have. And so what we've learned in our church is, how do we get as many different people in our kids ministry involved? How do we assign different parts of this service or this VBS, different video elements to each teacher so the kids get to hear those voices, so that they get to see that this isn't some pre-recorded thing that was bought and just shared, but these are the real people that they know, the in-jokes that have been going, the personalities that they see, they're all still there. And so I really am a big fan of going, if you are going to do an overview of the Courageous Faith lesson every week, have the same person do that. Maybe you have one person that's going to cover the announcements every week, and you just let them record a video of them saying, hey, it's teacher so-and-so, and our VBS is Courageous Faith. This is the big story that we're going to be covering, and today we're going to be focusing on this lesson. And just let them kind of be that welcoming voice every week. Don't put someone in the position, or maybe I should say it this way, don't fall into the trap, if you're the leader of the kids ministry, of thinking you have to be the only video element for everything, and it's all on your shoulders. One, I think it's just going to put too much pressure on you, and it's going to make it so much work that you're like, I tap out. But more importantly, you're going to miss the blessing of seeing a team of people come together and kind of work this out. It always is new and different if you're filming yourself and making video clips. But like our church has learned, we've got all over the technology scale people filming, right? We've got the retired, school teachers, we've got the young guns, and all of us come together. And when that final video gets made, it's like, this is amazing, right? Like seeing all the different faces. And so
I love that point, David, right? Like, I was challenged once by a pastor friend of mine. He looked at me, he's like, name 5 sermons that have changed your life. And, I could maybe name one at the time. And then he's like, all right, let's change the question. Name 5 people that have changed your life. And in a kids ministry, the leaders of your kids ministry have such an impact. It is so, so, so important to get them into this pre-recorded video at whatever segment that fits them the best, but getting them in there, because your kids' lives are impacted not by the sermons necessarily that are preached. Obviously they are. Obviously the word of God changes the heart. Like, obviously there's that, but in addition to that, it's this relationship that's built up with this leader when that word is being shared, and whatever it might be, just the engagement factor. Maybe you got a bit of a goofball like myself that might do the announcements a little bit more interesting. So anyways, I love that point, David. Good stuff there.
Well, and another thing, like, so when we think of a regular, like live in person VBS, typically there's a section where you're going to introduce, like, hey, this is the Courageous Faith team. These are all of the volunteers that are going to be in here. And so, like you're saying, Tim, all the different personalities shine. The goofballs are the goofballs. The person that's a little serious and is out of their comfort zone is like, hey, and it just is what it is. But that's what we love. It's like the whole community. And so even as you're starting your VBS, having a video montage where you're going, hey, I'd like to introduce all of our volunteers, and giving your volunteers the freedom of, like, if you want to dress up silly, dress up silly. If you want to do it, like with your dog in the shot with you or a lizard on your shoulder, go for it. We want this to be real and fun with our kids. A couple, I guess, practical tips.
Oh, David. Whoa. So I just want to let you know that all of this is super good.
Yes.
But
we got to keep moving.
We got to keep moving, dude.
Okay. All right.
We got to keep moving. So we're talking announcements.
Okay. Let's keep moving.
Move this thing along.
I'm sorry. I get excited.
He gets excited, people.
There's the thing. The one practical tip, anytime you're filming you and your team, I will say this, encourage them to do it horizontally. Okay. There's a tendency to want to film it vertically. And then when it's on the video, it's just this vertical video in the middle of a horizontal canvas. So just quick tip, film horizontal. It's always a better experience.
And we're getting a lot of great questions. We are saving these questions. We will answer them at the end, before the end of the webinar. So keep asking those questions. We'll get to them. We promise. All right, David.
Okay.
Take it away.
Now, after we do the announcements, let's go on then to to the worship section. And Sharefaith Kids, who we're the company that's bringing you this VBS, we partnered with Seeds Family Worship. And so like Yancy's Ministries, they do a lot of great kids worship videos. And what I've always admired about Seeds Family Worship is that every one of their worship videos is based 100% on scripture. And they include hand motions, and they're just a great interactive element. And so with a Sharefaith membership, you'll have access to those, and then you can set those up. Now, again, to Yancy's point, just showing a worship video, it's good, but it's not going to get that engagement. And so that's why we always have like that camera icon of a worship introduction, where either you or your worship leader will say, hey kids, we are going to watch a worship video together. There's going to be hand motions. I encourage you right now, stand up. Let's wiggle our arms, let's loosen up, let's stretch. We're really going to participate and get involved and set those expectations and lead them into worship and kind of encourage that engagement.
I love it. Now, in fact, that answers one of the questions Julia had a little bit earlier, where she was asking, how do we engage the kids in worship when we can't talk over a pre-recorded video? So it's exactly that. You're recording your intro right before the videos are in queue for the big video or for the longer form video. You're just doing that bit of an intro. So that's good, David. Very, very good.
I do have a question here from Brittany. I think that's great. What is your best advice for a first-time ministry director with a small team? My advice would be, because prayer. Pray. It's true. So we like I said, we started doing this at our church, and it is a small team, right? There was like 3 or 4 of us on that first meeting. And basically what we did is we took an outline and we just talked through it as a team, going, this is how we would assemble an online VBS or an online service. Does anyone here feel comfortable editing video? Does anyone want to learn that? How about the announcement section or the memory verse section? Who would want to do that? And you just, as a team, start getting buy-in and start going, do we see that we could pull this off? Do we see the value in this? Or how would we have to parse this down so that it would work with our team? I think it's always good. Never come up with an idea on your own and it's perfectly formed in your head and then force it on a team. Instead, go, I have an idea. I think it could be great. I don't know. Let's talk about this together and work it through.
Teamwork makes the dream work. Am I right? Come on.
Right.
That was good,
Right.
David.
The best hype
I
man in the
made that up
business.
myself. No,
Oh,
I did
whatever.
not.
I saw that on a poster. Okay, so let's go to the lesson teaching. In the free zip download that you have, there's going to be a curriculum file in there, and it will lay out kind of an overview for a daily lesson teaching. It'll give you some main teaching points. It'll give you background on the lesson, scripture, memory verse, big idea, all of those things. Along with that, there will also be a Bible video that takes the story, so Daniel and the lion's den, or the captivity, or the writing on the wall, and it brings that story to life visually with animated illustrations, narration, music, really great. I think the centerpiece of all of our lessons is this animated Bible video. And so a great way then to make something memorable for the kids is after you do your announcements and you worship, you introduce, all right, kids, we are going to start our lesson. First, I want to show you a Bible lesson. As you watch this story, imagine what it would have been like to be there. I want to have you put yourself in this scene so that as we go through and do a short teaching, you really have been thinking through what it would have been like and what the characters were feeling. And then you show the video. And then you come back on and you can shoot another video of yourself going, all right, now I want to do a short teaching that references that Bible story. As you go along, we have some slides that will help. There's a main title graphic if you want to like fade that in and out as you talk about the story. There's a big idea slide. There's a memory verse slide. And so you cover each of those elements. One of the things I would say is as you're doing something like the big idea of a lesson or a memory verse, I really love assigning those elements to different volunteers and having them every week be the voice that records that. So the kids kind of get that feel like, oh, it's the memory verse guy or it's the big idea girl. And even better, if you can get some of your kids to do the videos for that. We did that last week where we did not testimonials. Kids did videos of themselves saying what they were thankful for. And so we did a montage of kids just saying, I'm thankful, for my sister, or I'm thankful for, having a roof over our head or whatever they said, all sorts of crazy things. But I watched and kids, as soon as they saw other kids, they're like locked on and glued. So if you can incorporate that element, even better. Let's jump on to the next one, unless you got any slides or questions that you think we should tackle on that one, Tim.
No, I think that's good. I'm answering some questions in the chat while you're doing a great job, David. You're doing so good, buddy.
Oh, Tim, I second guess myself and I doubt my abilities, and then you're there to just encourage me and lift me up. Okay, so part of like a typical VBS, if you're thinking of like a normal VBS, we tend to break that time up because you don't expect kids to just sit there for an hour straight and watch something, or 2 hours straight and watch something. And so this presentation, start to finish, depending on how much time your volunteers take, it could wind up being, like a 45-minute, hour and a half video, just depending on what you include and how long you go in certain sections. And so I like the idea of including an intermission and a snack time, and you just saying, all right, kids, we're going to take a moment here where you can grab a snack, and we're going to play a Bible quiz video. We have a great 5-minute Bible quiz video that will ask questions specifically about the life and times of Daniel. And they may not know him day one, but as you show it over the course of 5 days, they will learn those facts and those bits of information and kind of just own the story better. And while they're doing it, they can have a snack. And so you can just incorporate that element a little bit. And maybe even have a volunteer during this time go, hey, as we get started, I'd like to pray for us as we have a snack together, and let them do silly stuff where they're like, today, I'm having some graham crackers and milk, and I like dunking it in the milk. Just anything where it seems real and personal, and the kids can go, that's Mr. So-and-so. I love him. He always says stuff like that. And so just thinking through those ways, how do you let your people and your personalities shine?
It's good.
So then let's jump on to the next slide here. I want to make sure that we get it through. So then closing thoughts, we'll always go through and give people hey, here's a review of what we've just taught. Here's a preview of tomorrow's lesson. And then again, recapping the big idea, the memory verse, And then we have a closing prayer slide. And I really do, like, these are things we've already covered. It's just kind of the recap. And I love, as much as possible, having the same person do the memory verse at the beginning and the end, the big idea at the beginning and the end, and just assigning those roles and responsibilities, and then giving a preview of the next day. And so we have beautiful graphics for every day of this VBS that'll make it really easy to just fade in the next slide and let kids go, oh, wow, that looks exciting. That looks, captivating. I want to check that out, Mom and Dad. And so a bit of this is always, your personality will shine through, but we also know that kids are captivated by strong visuals and just beautiful graphics. And so that's what we're looking to accomplish with this VBS. How do we let your people shine and then marry that up with just beautiful graphics that inspire and engage kids?
I did have a quick question for you, David. How many days is the VBS curriculum that Sharefaith Kids is putting together? And then follow up, what is the recommended age range for it?
Yeah, so the VBS is a 5-day VBS. And then the way that we have 3 different ones, but the one we're looking at here, Courageous Faith, is a 5-day VBS. And then the age range that we recommend them for is kind of, we shoot for like a K through 5th like blend, and we try to keep things at like the most basic common denominator where it could work on the young end of that spectrum. But then if you want to tailor it more towards an older group, you have the ability to do so.
Good. And we had a question. How long do you think it would take to put all of this together? The truth is, I would say to edit the video together, to get all the video clips from all of the different leaders, like that is definitely going to take a little bit of time. But my recommendation in these types of areas would be to kind of set up a production line. So I'm going to kind of explain it. So I've been a video editor for like 20 years now. It's like 15 years. Okay. 15 years. And something I've discovered along the way is if you're going to have the same person do the announcements every day, give it all to them at once. Say, hey, here's day 1, here's day 2, here's day 3, here's day 4. Have them recorded all in one setting. It is a lot more difficult to stop what you're doing and do another recording. The benefit with the virtual VBS experience is you can set all of this stuff up kind of from the beginning. Like you could literally have your whole VBS virtual experience ready to go each day before the videos are even able to play. And you do that through exactly kind of how I said. It's like, get your team the tools and the things that they need. Hey, here's what we need you to record. Here's what we need you to talk on. Get all of that to them at once for each day. And then have them get that footage to you by a specific day. Give yourself some time. If you've never edited a video before, give yourself some time. But if you have like a week to 2 weeks, definitely probably at least 2 weeks, If you have at least 2 weeks, you can definitely put these things together. If you've never edited a video together before, in a case like someone like me, who's maybe a little bit more experienced with video editing, I could, if I had all of the clips with me and all in a folder on my computer, I could edit all of them in one day. So there's a big like difference gap there. And here's another great point too, is like, I think I mentioned this on our Easter Online service when we were talking about Easter Online for kids, but there's going to be someone in your church that is good at video editing. If you've never done it in your life before, doesn't necessarily mean you need to start now. Like it's a good tool to pick up and start learning, but man, there's probably most likely someone in your church that does it, has done it, or is willing to help you do it for this virtual VBS. So this is a great time to reach out, ask the question, say, hey, we need help with VBS this year. We're doing it online. We're doing it virtually. Has anyone ever edited a video before?
Yeah.
Please send help and pray and pray.
Well, we learned this firsthand. I will say everything that you said is spot on, Tim. So like a while back, the question is, how do I got a small team and how do we make this happen? So what you're talking about, that shot list, that's why it's so important to get your team together and talk it through, like what you're trying to do. And then I think for us, the most vital thing we did in actually pulling it off is having a drive. So we use Google Drive, and then we set up a series of folders where it's like every weekend is labeled, and everyone who films their piece just drops it in the right section of the folder so that when it comes time to put that video together, the video editor just goes to the folder and it's like, there's all of the clips and they're all labeled, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it makes it easy for them. I think it will take a lot longer if you're not organized and you don't have a central location where all of those clips are being put. So I think one of the roles you would want to assign out in this is who is in charge of organizing all of the files that come in terms of, and also who's in charge of organizing that folder. And if you have that person, I think you can move through this pretty quickly and pull it off. And at least that's what we found at our church.
Yeah, label footage, day one, announcements, name. Like, keep the consistent structure. And when you ask the people, when they send in their footage, ask them to label it in a very specific way so that as the editor, whoever it might be, can sit there and see all that footage there. All right. And know exactly where it is. So
we're going to run over here. Let's just real quick close it out and go through these last few slides. And so after you do the kind of the wrap up, you do want to let your kids, let's jump to the next slide there. So you've done the closing thoughts. The way you want to end your video is saying, hey kids, we've got a lot of great resources that we've shared with your parents. And so each day of our VBS comes with activity pages, a digital comic book, and a family devotional. And if you go to the next slide there, we've included like a Q. If you had your phone up right now and you scan that, it would jump you in.
Scan it. We'll leave it up here for a little bit.
You could check out one of the family devotionals, or you could go to families.sharefaith.com and enter that unlock code. But the idea is you're empowering parents at home with like resources that they can give their kids that doesn't involve them doing a bunch of work. They don't have to assemble a bunch of things to make crafts or any of that. It's going, hey, mom and dad, if you can print out all of these activity pages, coloring pages, mazes, crossword puzzles, word searches, your kids can use them and explore them at home. There's also for later a family devotional that you can go through together where you can watch the same video we watched in the VBS again, and there's discussion questions. And then each day takes one of those stories of Daniel and turns it into a digital comic so that kids can kind of explore the lesson again in a vibrant visual way. So let's go ahead and then also in our Q&A or in our slideshow, we have a Q&A discussion, question and answer slides. Really interactive and great. And this is something, if after you do a pre-recorded video, maybe your congregation is not burnt out on Zoom and they're open to it and they want to have a discussion, this portion of our slideshow is a great resource for you to lead that conversation. So it's got question and answer slides. It's got artwork slides so that you can go through and retell the story and discuss that. So great option and opportunity there. And then let's advance on here, Tim. Yeah, so we've had a few questions about the VBS, how you can get it and what it costs. So all Sharefaith Kids VBSs are included in our yearly memberships for Sharefaith Kids and Sharefaith Suite. Also, we've just made the individual VBSs available for download for $99 a piece. So we can drop links in the description, or I'm sorry, in the description. I think I'm on YouTube. We can drop links in the discussion section and you can follow any of those links there.
Yeah, and just want to, we're gonna kind of close out here, but we are gonna hang on and hang out with you all, answering some questions because there's been so many good ones. Something I want to touch base with, David, is so Sharefaith Kids is designed originally back in the creation of it, obviously for a weekend experience. No one could have predicted that we as a church would be in this season that we're in. What I love so much about this checklist that you've created, as someone who knows your product and knows what's included with a Sharefaith Kids membership, everything you've listed is basically available in this format. This format that you've given us for a VBS day one really just breaks down how you would put a service together anyway. So Sharefaith Kids is a great product, and I do want to touch base on this. So I saw one of the things in the chat. Someone's asking, I'm still not quite sure what to do with VBS or what exactly we're talking about. So I'm going to take a step back and talk big picture. The goal is to engage someone on a virtual platform, a social media like Facebook or a YouTube premiere video. So
Yeah.
both Facebook and YouTube, they have these features to premiere a video. And here's what that means. When you premiere a video, these platforms create a live chat, very similar to the webinar where we're seeing everyone kind of talk. It creates this live chat, and you need a video to play as a premiere. So when we're kind of talking about today was these practical, have your team record videos, put them all together, edit it all together into one video. That's what you would premiere. So then as a church or a ministry, you are setting up every day at 10 o'clock in the morning. We are doing our VBS day. And here is what it will be. Day one will be this. Day two will be this. So then the kids know, the church knows, the community knows that every day at 10 a.m., the church is going to premiere a premiere video for VBS that day where it has worship, it has a lesson, it has activities, it has all of these elements that we've kind of gone through today. And as a team, as a church team, as a kids ministry team, you can be active in the chat through those features. So I really hope that kind of helped explain the goal, right? Maybe we didn't do that well enough. Like, what's the goal? To get a video that's engaging both visually and engaging through the team to play on your social media. And then you just want to announce and get the word out to your church. Hey, VBS is not canceled. VBS is not canceled. We're still doing VBS. It's going to be virtually. Here's how it's going to work. Get the word out and just engage with the chat that way. So hopefully the answer, I know there's quite a few questions, and David, we're going to hang on for a little bit more, talking about some of these questions. So let's kind of touch base on some of them. Our mods are letting us know about all of these good ones. So I'm going to read a question, David, and you go ahead and answer it here. Are all the VBS programs available in Sharefaith membership tailored to online options with the icons, or would the pre-existing VBS have to be customized for online? I'm looking at becoming a member for these reasons. I thought I'd ask the question while I'm here.
Yeah, so all of our VBSs are structured the same. Okay, so in each one, you're going to find these 5 daily bundles where you're going to have a lesson video, slideshow, activity pages, everything that we've talked about. So what you can do is you can take this template, this shot list that we've created for Courageous Faith, and you can apply that to any of our VBS products and just assemble them that way. We just chose to use Courageous Faith. The first day of that is like the specific example of how you would build a day of VBS. But then you would take that same template and apply it to each day.
Yeah, good. I saw someone in the chat asking about a good start time. Really for a start time, morning's generally going to be a little bit better. But you need to make sure that you're kind of keeping in mind the schedules of the parents, because everyone's we're working from home. Like there's all these little factors. It's going to be unique and different for each of your churches. So I really encourage you, like, I can't give you a definite answer, right? Like I could just throw out a time. 10 usually from just think about when your church usually starts on a weekend experience. Usually it's 9, 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock, from my experience in my church background, was always our bigger services, because that was generally allowing people with families and kids to get to church on time. Gave them the time that they needed to get there. So talking from a at-home experience, parents are still going to be getting their kids ready for the day and getting them prepared to join at 10 o'clock, I think could be a great start time.
A great question here from Marie. What about copyright issues when broadcasting online things that are not our own? So Sharefaith Kids allows you to broadcast any of our content so long as it's part of a bigger video. So you can't just take like a Bible video and put that up on your website or live stream that. But if that Bible video or slides are part of a larger video, then you can. And Seeds Family Worship has also allowed us to do that as well through the VBS season.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, so David and I, our backgrounds at Ministry Brands come from the Sharefaith brand, and I'm the media director, so I do more of the media side, but David has such an amazing heart for kids. And when we saw what was happening for Easter and for VBS this year, I know David went in, is like, hey, we have to make this work. allow people the ability to show these videos. And I love your heart on that. So
Yeah.
great question.
So we're still getting some questions about the VBS age range. And I think one of the questions is, well, how do we tailor this to specific age groups? And I would really go, you do that through the teachers that are typically speaking to those different age groups. So if you wanted to make separate VBSs for different age groups, you absolutely could with the resources we provide. I would just change the tone and the level of communication from the teacher that's speaking. And so if it's a younger audience, have your teachers that are typically sharing with those younger audiences and customize the lesson accordingly. What you'll find in our curriculum is that rather than spelling out a big long script of everything you should say or teach in a lesson, it's more going to be outlined bullet points. Like, here are 3 big teaching ideas, or here's some perspectives that you could share. And so I feel like in the hands of your teachers, those are easily enough customized where they can make it their own and shoot their video accordingly. We also have a question in here about editing the Bible verse. Right now, all of our Bible verses are in an ESV translation. Now, the slides themselves aren't directly editable, but it's easy enough just to drag a box across it in PowerPoint and then write your own verse in over the top in a translation that you prefer.
I'm answering questions in chat while you're going, man. You're doing great. You're doing great.
Another thing that's come up about Sharefaith Kids, we always jump into these things, Tim, and then we're like, maybe we didn't explain it well enough. So if you don't know, Sharefaith Kids is a library of over 140 Sunday school lessons, right? So each one of them has a Bible video and activities and all the rest. And so typically, that's one of the main reasons people come, is they go, we want to teach a Sharefaith Kids lesson every weekend, and we love this library of resources. And so if you want, one of the ways that you can get access to our VBS is you join with a yearly membership. You get access to our entire library of Sunday school lessons. And then in addition, you get those VBS programs as well. We have 3 of them. However, if you do want to purchase them individually, we have made them available as well for $99 a piece. So just got that up and ready.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I did see a question about maybe an option for an a la carte menu style. And I would say, now correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're not quite sure if you want, to sign up for like a yearly plan for Sharefaith Kids, that's totally okay. There's options. We have monthly options where you can sign up and then just see if it's the right fit for you. There's also a trial and kind of gives you an idea. But really, honestly, for VBS, David's made day one available for you so that you can download, you can try it, you can see if you like it. And then if you do want the a la carte option, maybe you just want 4 different videos, you can sign up for the monthly. And I'm pretty sure, David, correct me if I'm wrong, but there is no contract, so cancel anytime.
Yeah, no, there is. One thing I'm seeing, a great question, like how long should each VBS last? My answer to that would be shorter than you think, probably. Like any video content or webinar or whatever, it's like the better the content, the more engaged. And so it's like the goal isn't we need to fill 3 hours. If you feel like between you and your team and the resources we provide, you can put together a great 45 minutes, then do a great 45-minute VBS. If it's going to be a great half an hour, like our typical kids service in our church runs for like 1 hour and 15 minutes. Our first kids service that we put together a couple weeks ago was 20 minutes, right? But it was great and kids loved it and watched it. And that's all you want. You want your kids to be engaged and interacting. So
it's a new format for sure, right? So think about how long you would watch a video, right? So kids are going to be shorter than that, 100%. So in my opinion, I would say shorter is going to be better. Content is king. So if it's great content, to what David was saying, if you can take what this long thing is and compress that down to 15, 20 minutes, and then you hit them with all the good stuff, and then giving the parents kind of next steps, things that they can do in their day with their kids throughout the rest of the day, maybe conversation, questions, all that. I mean, all that stuff comes with Sharefaith Kids, which is awesome, which is why I love it. But yeah, shorter, in my opinion, is going to be better. So try to keep it short.
Awesome. Well, I think we should probably respect people's times, wrap it up here. We can stay on in the chat section here and be answering some of these questions individually.
In fact,
we will.
We will
I
will answer that for you, David. We will be on chat.
I love this guy. But we do want to respect your time. We thank you so much for staying over and just having this conversation. We'll go ahead and wrap up, get our ugly mugs off the screen. Do we want to do a...
You're going a little... David, you're a little far ahead, buddy. I'm just going to say it. I need to wrap this thing out here.
Right,
so we're going to do this proper. So we at Ministry Brands are excited to start doing what we're calling Ministry Online. It's going to be a weekly webinar series designed to help you do church during the COVID-19 and beyond. So starting next Thursday at 2 p.m., we are doing it. And our first one, I think it's next Tuesday. Did I say the right date? It is next. Yeah, it's next Tuesday. The first one that we're doing, we're very, very excited about, and that is WordPress for church websites. So wait a minute, this slide says Thursday. I think we need to get a tiebreaker. I'm not sure. Okay, it's next Thursday. All right. See, that's why I love the panel. It's always our fail-safe. Yeah. We say stuff sometimes. But it's going to be good. We're going to start these weekly webinars at Ministry Brands. We're very passionate about seeing you succeed. So we're going to close this out. We have a little video kind of showing you some cool features that are coming out very soon to our Sharefaith brand that we are excited to kind of announce. It's not launched yet, but it's launching very, very soon. And it's going to change the game for church websites in WordPress. And and we'll stay on in chat and answer questions after that. So it'll be good.
All right.
Anything
bye,
else,
everyone.
David?
No, that was great. We appreciate you joining us, and it was a great conversation.
All right, here we go.